Welcome to our video. Today, we're exploring the top 10 most censored moments from Sonic X. Did you know that many episodes of the English version of this famous anime underwent significant cuts and changes? Some scenes were deemed inappropriate, while others were considered too controversial for Western audiences. Let's dive deep into the moments that were most altered, revealing what really happened behind the edits. Get ready to be surprised by these curiosities and find out what you might have missed in the adventures of Sonic and his friends. 10th place, Sonic's slap. Sometimes, a firm but caring slap from a blue hedgehog is all it takes to bring someone back to their senses. However, in the English version, the scene was quite different. When the evil spirit Boom takes control of Amy, Sonic literally restores her consciousness with a quick chop to the neck. But in the Western dub, this moment was completely cut out. Instead, Boom inexplicably decides to abandon Amy as soon as Sonic runs toward her. Maybe he sensed something strange, or just decided to leave. This change leaves viewers confused about how Amy was saved, disrupting the logic of the plot. 9th place, Eggman's Patriotism. Say what you want about Dr. Robotnik, but you can't deny he's proud of his identity. In one episode, his robots demolish a building to construct an amusement park, and he celebrates by erecting a Statue of Liberty with his own face. It's not the most respectful representation of the American symbol, but it's a funny nod, especially for a character with such a huge ego. However, this joke didn't sit well with Western audiences, so the scene was cut from the English version. It's understandable. This aggressive take doesn't really match the themes of freedom and justice associated with the statue. By removing this scene, the dub also removed a piece of Eggman's characterization that highlighted his humor and self-indulgence. 8th place, Knuckles' awkward stop. In a series where speed is the focus, chase scenes are key. But in the Western version, one of these scenes had to be removed. Knuckles was chasing Eggman's robot, but went too fast and ended up in a questionable location. Instead of just moving on, he stops and, to make it worse, blushes at the belly dancers. This was considered too suggestive, and the scene was completely cut from the dub. Next time, Knuckles should probably leave the chases to Sonic. This exclusion was done to avoid controversies, especially in a show aimed at a younger audience, but it ended up removing an unexpected moment of humor from the series. 7th place, Cream in the baseball game. Cream is known for being one of the purest characters in the Sonic series, so it makes sense for her to sweetly request a soft pitch in a baseball game. However, in the original version, this scene is extended in an odd way, with Cream making comments that embarrass the robotic pitcher. Given that Cream is a little bunny of only 7 years old, it was expected that the Western version would cut this sequence. The dialogue was deemed too uncomfortable for the audience. The English dub, by altering this scene, aimed to maintain the character's innocent tone, avoiding misunderstandings that could arise from the original humor. 6th place, Rouge's provocative side. While Rouge's essence remained intact across versions, some elements were toned down in the Western dub. Scenes with more revealing cleavage and suggestive dialogues were altered. Right in her first appearance, for example, a joke about sadomasochism while Rouge is handcuffed was changed to a simple insult. It's no surprise that a character with such a bold and provocative personality needed some adjustments for the Western version. By toning down Rouge's content, the dubbers aimed to make it more suitable for the target audience without completely losing the character's striking personality. 5th place, Cosmo's sacrifice for the universe. Despite the colorful and light tone of the series, Sonic X's final arc tackled heavier themes, like death. When Cosmo decides to sacrifice herself to save the universe, Tails is devastated, but is comforted by a sincere speech from Eggman about acceptance. However, the Western version drastically reduced the impact of this scene, removing the moment of reflection and downplaying the emotional weight of the decision. The final result gave the impression that Cosmo's sacrifice didn't matter much to the other characters. This change caused the narrative arc to lose depth and complexity, reducing the intensity of one of the series' most significant moments. 4th place, Words Before Bullets. The Western dub chose to omit the implied execution of Gerald Robotnik, which was already expected. The problem is that the editing was done carelessly. In the original, his last words are interrupted by gunfire from a firing squad. In the dub, they added more lines, but forgot to remove the sound of the shots. In the end, it seems like he continues speaking while being shot, which adds an unintentionally humorous touch to the scene. This lack of care in the adaptation not only changed the dark tone of the scene, but also left an impression of amateurism that was noticed by fans. Third place, Maria's fate. Anyone familiar with Shadow's story knows that Maria's death is crucial to his character development. But in the English dub, the scene was altered to suggest that she was just taken away without the dramatic farewell scene in the original. This not only weakens one of the most important moments in Sonic Adventure, but also leaves plot holes. After all, if Maria were so important to Shadow, why didn't he try to rescue her? By softening this moment, the Western version failed to capture Shadow's emotional depth, which is essential to his character's narrative. Second place, Molly's flight to nowhere. Molly's character ending is another example of a poorly handled adaptation. In the original version, she makes an emotional sacrifice by flying her jet towards the enemies. But in the Western version, she simply flies into space with no explanation, completely stripping away the emotional impact of her decision. This change made the moment senseless and disrespected the original narrative. The audience misses out on the development of the theme of sacrifice and bravery, turning an epic moment into a point of confusion in the story. First place, Shadow's softened fight. What makes Shadow a fascinating anti-hero is that he is darker and more complex than Sonic. However, the Western version toned down many of his most intense moments. For instance, in his fight with Tails, scratch marks were removed to reduce the violence. But in the famous fight between Shadow and Chris, the action was completely eliminated, to the point where the scene no longer makes sense. Without the fight, it's hard to understand how Chris ends up injured or how he convinces Shadow to help him. It seems the Western version didn't want these questions to be answered. Removing these action moments compromises the narrative integrity, depriving viewers of scenes that add depth to Shadow's character. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and let us know in the comments which curiosity surprised you the most. See you next time.